Hi everybody, my name is Nick Justition. I teach virtual production at Drexel University. In our previous video, we took a look at exporting the characters and animations that we had captured in a Vicon motion capture session and sending them out to FBX files to be used in Unreal Engine. So let's pick up the process here in Unreal Engine and bring those files in and retarget the animations to the mannequin characters here in Unreal. So I've already got the mannequins loaded up, obviously. Again, just to add those in, you go to your content browser, click the plus add button, choose add features or content pack, and select third person and use the add project button. Once you've done that, the folder that you're interested in is in your content folder, characters, mannequins, and then meshes. And I've dragged out our Manny Simple and Quinn Simple into my levels so that they're here and ready to get some animation applied. But first we need to bring in the animations that we exported from Vicon. So I'll create a folder for Vicon. So right click and go to new folder, type in Vicon, and we're good to go there. Double click to open that up, and we'll start by importing the Vicon characters first. So right click and import to game, and we'll choose our FBX files for the Vicon female and the Vicon male characters. So I'll open those up. Now we start out, everything looks fine. We're looking at the current asset being Vicon female. Yes, we want the skeletal mesh. Yes, we want to import the mesh. No, we don't want to use an existing skeleton. We want to have that create its own skeleton. We do want to convert the scene. Import animations can stay on. There aren't any animations in there to import. One real important thing here is even though I'm importing two files, I do not want to choose import all. It's important that I choose import. What will happen if I choose import all is each of the skeletons, the Vicon male and the Vicon female, will get their own skeletons independent of one another, and that essentially is going to double the amount of work in terms of setting up rigs. So if I choose import, well then I only import the female file first, and then I have this dialog box come back for the Vicon male. And now that the female character has already been imported, the skeleton field is pre-populated with the skeleton that came in that first file, and that's exactly what I want. This way, anything I set up in terms of IK rig for the female skeleton, I can also reuse for the male version of the mesh. So I'll go ahead and import that, and we'll get our files that were derived from those two FBX files, mostly textures, but of course we have our skeletal mesh, and we have the one skeleton, and there's our skeletal mesh for the Vicon male. So these warnings are not an issue for us. We'll go ahead and close those and hit save all to commit all of this data to disk. With that done, we're going to be ready to import our animation. So right click and import, and we'll select our two animation files. So there's the Amy performance for cleaning the bar and the Nick performance for cleaning the bar. So with those two selected, we'll go ahead and open. And since we're only importing animations, no meshes, and we're already designating this Vicon female skeleton to be the target for both of these, well, now we can go ahead and use that import all button and get both of these in at the same time. Great. There's a little warning here about a left-hand thumb, but we're not worried about that. These motion capture takes were done for full body only. We did not have finger markers at all, so we're not going to be using any finger data for retargeting. So here are our two animations, one for the Amy performance, one for Nick. I can double click each one and take a look. And there we are. We've got the beginning of our take and the performance and walking off. Great. And we might as well double click here on the Nick performance and scrub through that. And again, we've got all the data working out. Okay, so they're in fine. We'll go ahead and save all. At this point, we're ready to set up our IK and our retargeting rig for the characters. So I'll start by right-clicking on Vicon female, go to create, and choose IK rig. And there's our IK rig. I'm just going to select this in F2, rename it, and just call it IK Vicon. There we go. Enter. And that's saved, and double click, and all we need to do is give names to the appropriate joint chains. So I'll just alt left click to rotate around here, take a look at our character. The Vicon characters face the opposite directions as the mannequins do, but that's no issue really for us. So we start off by selecting the hips and the outliner, right click and set the retarget root. We'll work on the spine. So we have a spine 1, 2, 3, select those 4 joints, right click and new retarget chain, spine is correct. Let's go with the neck and we'll go all the way up to the head end and just check and make sure that head end is not at the top of the head, it's here at the pivot of the head. So that should be okay for us. So right click and new retarget chain, head is correct. We'll get our clavicles. So shoulder here, right click, new chain, and well, it's not just an arm, it is the right, RIGHT, clavicle. And I'll just select the word clavicle since I'm going to need it again for the left side. We'll add the chain, find the left shoulder, right click, add a chain, and call that left clavicle. Enter that. All right, let's get the arm. So right arm all the way down to the right hand. And just make sure everything's looking good. Okay, we're good there. Right click and new retarget chain. And it's not the left arm, that's the right arm. So let's just fix that. Add the chain. And we should just be able to right click and mirror that. Left arm, correct. Add that chain. And finish off with the left leg. So I'm sorry, that's the right leg. So from the leg up all the way down to the toe base, we always end this chain at the ball of the foot. So that's the toe base joint in the case of this skeleton. So right click, new retarget chain, and it's not the left leg, it's the right leg. There we are, add that chain, and right click and mirror the chain. Left leg is correct, and we're good to go. Now, in previous IK rigs, we've gone ahead and set IK goals for the hands and the feet, but I have no intent of ever applying motion capture data to the Vicon characters. These are the source of information for us rather than the target. If I was going to apply Mocap to be coming in from a different source and applying it to this, I'd go ahead and set up IK goals, but we don't need them when this is just going to be the source. So let's save some time, hit save, and wrap that up. We'll close that down, and we can right click on our new rig and create an IK retargeter from it. Double click to open it up, and we get this message here, add height to retarget root pose. So the Vicon skeleton actually has the center of the hips, that joint is actually on the origin, and Unreal's here giving us the opportunity to apply an offset. I would recommend doing that. Go ahead and apply the offset. I have a couple instances where I did not apply that offset, and essentially the mathematics of moving the root around and with multiplications seem to be much more error prone when I did not apply that offset. By applying the offset, the root joint for our retargeting rig here is appropriately well above the floor, and we're in good shape to run that. So we've got that taken care of. We'll need to add our target to this, and that in this case will be the IK for Mannequin. So IK for Mannequin, wonderful. And we want the skeletal mesh actually for Quinn in this case. So I'll just type in Quinn. And where is our skeleton mesh for? There she is, Quinn. All right, so I'll go ahead and use Quinn's symbol. All right, so things are a mess. Again, one of the things is that the Vicon skeleton is facing the wrong way. Of course, our chain mappings are never correct the first time. There's all kinds of things being mapped to twists and carpals and metacarpals and things that we don't have, like fingers. So let's just go ahead and clear our mappings and then only apply map only empty exact. And now everything that's an exact match from Vicon to Quinn is now populated and everything else is left empty. So that's great. I save while I'm at it. And okay, so I'm going to start actually by working on the source rather than the target. I'd like to spin Quinn around, not Quinn, I'm sorry, spin Vicon around so that the Vicon character is facing the correct direction to match the mannequin. So I'll click on source and click on hips. I'm running the retargeter right now, so let me switch that into edit retarget pose. And we get the mannequins get, both characters get thrown up there because of the offset that was applied to the Vicon character. Yeah, so let's select the hips of the source, which is the Vicon character, rotate her around 180 degrees. So I'm just going to enter 180 there. And now both characters are facing in the same direction. Now I'm going to go ahead and raise the Vicon character a little bit so that we have the feet of the Vicon character lined up with the feet of the mannequin. So there we are. That looks pretty good. And so we're good with the source. So now let's finish by tuning up the target. I find it easier to match the target to the T-pose than go the other way around. So I'll just take the legs here on Quinn and rotate those in. And what is that? Yep, it's usually right about 3 degrees, so -3. And we'll look at the other leg and do the same thing, -3. Of course, now we need to correct because the feet are rotated out very slightly by those 3 degrees. So we'll just add a +3 to each foot so we're not kind of leaning on the outside of our foot. So 3 degrees, there we are. And now the arms and clavicles. So one thing to always keep in mind is, with the arms up in a T-pose, the clavicles tend to get raised. So go ahead and raise those clavicles by about 10 degrees here. And then the arms, they're going to go up a little bit more than 10 degrees, in this case right about 45. And finally we can get our forearms. I'll just go at -35 there. And match that on the other side. And finally, we'll go for the hands. Now, we don't need to worry about the fingers because there's no finger data in these particular Vicon takes. If we were planning on retargeting finger data from Vicon, we'd want to make sure that both sets of hands are posed to match. But all we need to do is match the palm of the hand. So the Vicon palm of the hand is perfectly flat with respect to the ground. We want to match that here with our mannequin. So this hand is tilted forward a little bit. We'll just go back. I'll just round that to -10. Flatten out that palm, and let's go to the other side and do the same thing. And -10. Take a look at that. And I think we're in good shape. All right, so we should have our matched poses all set. We'll go ahead and go back to running mode, and things are looking pretty good. There is a little weird thing here, right? The knees are bent, and the cause of that is the fact that Quinn has IK retargeting goals, and so her feet are going for those goals based on the position of the Vicon feet, and because the Quinn character is quite a bit taller than the Vicon character, we end up with this little bend here. But what we should be doing here is really tuning this retargeting rig for each performer, because the T-pose of each performer is going to be different, different proportions, and even little different nuances to the T-poses for the performers. We don't get a pure T-pose like we do from Mixamo data and from the character definition. So I'm going to go ahead and save this RTG Vicon and take a look at what we get for a T-pose from the Amy performance. So I'll get the asset browser and double click on Amy, and here we have in the performance, we as part of our procedure with Vicon takes, we always ask our performers to start in an A pose and then raise their arms into T pose. So Amy is a little bit shorter than Quinn here, and as a result, Quinn's got her legs bent, her hands and her feet are going after those IK goals, and so her body needs to kind of contort a bit to conform to that. There's some slight quirks here in the T-pose data of Amy from Vicon, and that it looks like her one arm, it's her right arm, is a little bit higher than the other. So couple things that we can do about this. This is where understanding the IK goals and some of the other options that are available in retargeting really helps, and we'll go for a simple solution in this case. Let's just kind of play this out. And again, the legs of Quinn keep having these bent knees where the original performance has straighter legs, and that we really want to correct. So what's causing this? Well, we want to keep the IK goals for the feet because those are making sure that the feet of the Quinn character are landing on the ground, just like the feet of the Vicon character. But in this case, this performance, we were not scrubbing an actual table or an actual prop for a specific scene. This was a generic take, so we really don't need the IK goals activated for the hands. And the hand IK goals are pulling the whole body down because the hand IKs for Quinn are trying to match to the Vicon on the shorter performer. So if I were to do this for the foot, for example, if I select this foot IK goal on Quinn, I get the details for that IK goal. And if I deactivate it, the leg straightens out because now we're really just running FK on that leg. And so the rotations in the Vicon performance are coming through in the Quinn performance. But I really don't want that in this case. I want the feet to land on the ground. So I do want to keep the IK on. Now, one thing to note is that if I select away and now try to find that IK goal again, it's not really in the scene anymore. I guess I managed to select it. And I guess that's because I managed to hit the chain here in the leg. But if you have any difficulty catching that in the interface, you can go to chain mappings and just search for, in this case, this is the left leg, right? So I can select the left leg. So if I can't find the IK goal and I'm having difficulty clicking the leg chain indicator in the viewer, I can always go to the chain mapping and choose left leg. And now I've got it selected again, and I can activate the IK goal. We get it visually in the scene, and it is active and working. So instead of that, in this case, what I want to do is release the IK goals for the hands. We'll just run FK for the hands. So I'll click on this hand's IK goal and deactivate it, and select this hand's IK goal and deactivate that. Okay, so now it's difficult to see. Let's click in the empty space and move the mannequin one direction and the Vicon character in the other. So now the arms of our mannequin are really just being driven by FK for each of the arm chains. And so they're going to pretty faithfully reproduce what's going on in Vicon. But I'm leaving the IK goals on for the feet, and that allows for the feet to plant on the floor properly following the Vicon feet. So that's the setting I'm using here. By deactivating the hand goals, since I don't really need them, I get all of the natural rotations that I would expect while still having the feet anchored. So we're in good shape. I'm happy with this set of settings. And what I want to do is now actually save as this retarget so that it is for Amy being retargeted to Quinn. So I'll just do a file and save as and call this RTG Vicon and underscore Amy to Quinn. And there we go. Now I have that particular setup all taken care of. And there's my Amy to Quinn. And again, just double clicking on the Amy performance. Now we've got that performance all good. While I've got that selected, I might as well export that. I'm going to keep it in the Vicon folder. And I will just add a suffix instead of a prefix. I'm just going to call this Quinn with an underscore in front of it. We'll just add that to the end of the file name here that we already have so that we know that we've retargeted this with the intent of applying it to Quinn. So there you go. There's the process. I will add, let's say we take a look at our performer Nick. See, now Nick is a different height and a different build, and he poses, his T-pose is a little bit different too, based on how things were playing out in that particular shoot. So we'll probably want to set up something slightly different for Nick's performance, and we want to make sure we're reviewing it with the Vicon male versus the Manny. So let's switch to source preview mesh. We'll start with the Vicon male, and we'll also take the SKM Quinn simple and change that to Manny simple. There we are. All right, and so we're good. And sure enough, the poses that we used for retargeting are giving us a little bit of an artifact when we retarget from Nick to the mannequin. And what we're seeing here is that the data coming in from Nick's performance has the clavicles raised more than the original T-pose were. And so we're getting this kind of awkward shoulder position from the mannequin. So let's adjust our source poses or our target poses to adjust for that. So what I'm going to do is go into our retarget poses, and to correct for this, what we want to do is basically have our clavicles adjusted. In Nick's case, his clavicles are performing a little bit higher than normal, or higher than we've got things selected right now. So I'm going to adjust that. I'll take the source. We'll keep Manny's T-pose and just select the right shoulder here for the Vicon male. We are in our retargeting pose adjustment, so I should, in theory, showing retarget pose, I should be able to edit the retarget. Edit the retarget pose. There we are. I'm going to raise this up a bit, and I'll go ahead and give that a good 10 degrees. And so then we'll want to lower this by 10 degrees to match. And we'll do the same on the other side. So -10 and +10. So that this way, we know Nick's clavicles start out a bit higher, and that'll be compared to the T-pose we've been using for Mannequin. So let's deactivate our editing retarget pose. Let's switch to run retargeter and take a look at those shoulders. And I don't know. I mean, it might be authentic, but I just feel like the shoulders of Manny are still a little bit high here. So I'm going to edit this once more and just raise these clavicles a little bit more from Vicon. So let's just raise that to 15. Oops, undo that. Well, actually, I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to go to the clavicle and say -15. There we go. And make this 15 here and -15 here. All right, so we got a little bit more height here out of the Vicon clavicles and the retargeting. And there we go. I actually feel better about this. You know, again, this starts to become a little bit of a judgment call here, but this is working out for me. So that's it. Let's keep this now as our Nick to Manny. So File, Save As, and this will be, instead of Amy to Quinn, Nick to Manny. Save. I'll reopen. We'll double click on Nick's performance. Manny's looking good. So let's export that selected animation. Again, I'm going to store it in Vicon, and I will add a suffix of Manny to that. Export. And we should be all set. There you go. So in our content browser here, we've got our original animation here for the Vicon character, and we've got the Amy cleaning the bar, and we've got our Nick performance from Vicon, and we've got our Nick performance applied to Manny. So we can just finish by testing those out with an animation sequence. So right click and go to Cinematics, Level Sequence. I'll just call this Test Anim, enter, and double click to open it up. And the sequencer's floating around, so let's dock that down here by the content browser. Select our two mannequins and add them to our sequencer. Get rid of these control rigs, right click and delete, and right click and delete. And now I should just be able to add the two animations. So here's the mannequin. So we'll add and type in Nick, and there is Nick on Manny. And right click, click the plus button here, type in Amy, and there's Amy. And great. And this is what we should be seeing. Let's extend this. How many frames out? 1,000 frames is just about right. Look at that. And we'll just take a look at our animations. And here's the performance. And this is pretty much what it looked like on stage, except we had real people instead of our mannequins. So that's it. We've retargeted Vicon animation from 2 different performers onto 2 different characters. In this case, the 2 different mannequins. Hope this helps. Until next time, have fun.